What if I told you that the reason you've been struggling for so long, feeling lazy, forgetful, or out of place, isn't because you're broken? It's not a character flaw. It's because you've been trying to run a brilliant, powerful, but fundamentally different operating system using an instruction manual written for a completely different machine. You have all the processing power, but the commands are different. The software is incompatible, and the world keeps telling you that you're doing it wrong. Hello and welcome back to the Student of Life podcast. I'm your host, Olivia Vasilev. This is the show where we deconstruct the tools and ideas that can make life work a little better. Today, we're throwing out the wrong manual and writing a new one. We're talking about neurodivergence, not as a disorder, but as a different, valid, and often brilliant way of being wired. To understand how to thrive with a neurodivergent mind, we first have to understand what's actually happening under the hood. This isn't about willpower. It's about wiring and neurochemistry. Let's break down 3 key ideas. First, let's talk about what's often called the brain CEO, the prefrontal cortex. This part of your brain, right behind your forehead, is responsible for a suite of skills called executive functions. Think of this as the management team in your head. It handles focus, impulse control, planning, organizing, starting tasks, and managing your working memory, which is like your brain's RAM, holding information temporarily for use. Now, in many neurodivergent brains, particularly those with ADHD, the prefrontal cortex develops more slowly and has lower overall activity. This is the structural and functional difference seen in brain scans. It's not a choice. It's the core why behind the struggle to just get started on a boring task, or to plan a complex project, or to control an impulsive comment. The CEO of the brain is understaffed and working with a weaker internet connection. This is compounded by a neurochemical issue. The CEO runs on specific chemical messengers to get things done. 2 of the most crucial ones are dopamine and norepinephrine. Dopamine is the molecule of motivation, reward, and this feels important, let's do it. Norepinephrine is crucial for attention and alertness. In the ADHD brain, there's often a dysregulation in these systems. The brain isn't producing or using these chemicals efficiently. So, tasks that don't provide an immediate high-interest reward, like homework, taxes, or laundry, fail to trigger the necessary chemical signal to get the CEO's attention. The brain is literally starving for the motivation to do the thing. This is why a person can be paralyzed by a task they genuinely want to do. And it's also why high stimulation activities like video games or urgent deadlines work so well. They finally provide the chemical surge the brain is craving. The second key area is sensory processing. Every moment, your brain is bombarded with millions of bits of sensory data. The hum of the fridge, the feeling of your clothes on your skin, the flicker of a light, a distant conversation. A neurotypical brain has a very efficient filtering system that automatically tunes out what's not important, letting you focus on the conversation you are having. For many neurodivergent people, especially autistic individuals, this filter works differently. It's less of a filter and more of a bank of volume knobs, and many of them are stuck on maximum. So the hum of the fridge isn't background noise, it's a distracting drone. The clothing tag isn't a minor itch, it's a constant sandpaper-like irritation. This is called sensory overload. The brain is receiving too much raw, unfiltered data all at once, and it's cognitively expensive and physically exhausting to process it all. It can lead to shutdowns, meltdowns, or a state of constant low-grade anxiety. Conversely, some people are sensory seekers, needing intense input like deep pressure from a weighted blanket, rocking, or fidgeting to feel calm and regulated. This isn't being fidgety, it's the brain's attempt to self-regulate its own nervous system. The third area is social cognition. Neurotypical social interaction relies heavily on a vast set of unspoken intuitive rules, reading subtle body language, tone of voice, and implied meanings. It's like a complex dance everyone else learned by osmosis. For many autistic individuals, this dance isn't intuitive. The brain approaches social interaction more analytically, like a conscious software program running in the background. It's a process of actively decoding and applying social rules rather than just feeling them. This is incredibly mentally draining. It's why social situations can be so exhausting and why downtime alone is not a luxury but a necessity for recovery. This is also the root of masking, the exhausting, often subconscious effort to camouflage neurodivergent traits and mimic neurotypical behavior to fit in and avoid judgment. So, now that we understand the why, the different wiring and chemistry, we can stop fighting our own brains and start working with them. These strategies aren't about fixing yourself. They are like patches, apps, and peripherals you can install on your unique operating system to help it run more smoothly in a world not designed for it. Let's start with taming the understaffed CEO, your executive function system. The number one evidence-backed tool is to externalize everything. This isn't just make a list. This is based on the science of our limited working memory. A study in the Journal of Cognitive Neuroscience shows that overloading working memory impairs the prefrontal cortex's ability to function. By using physical notebooks, whiteboards, or digital apps as your external hard drive, you free up crucial cognitive resources for actual thinking. Next, let's talk about body doubling. This isn't just a nice idea. It leverages the science of social facilitation and accountability. A study published in the Journal of Educational Psychology found that the mere presence of a peer can increase task engagement and persistence. For a brain struggling with initiation, this external anchor provides the gentle stimulation needed to kickstart the executive system. To directly hack the dopamine system, you need a dopamine menu. This is based on the well-established role of dopamine in motivation. Research, like that cited in Dr. John Ratey's book Spark, shows that immediate rewards can stimulate the dopamine circuits that intrinsic motivation fails to trigger. So, using a timer for a 25-minute work sprint followed by a guaranteed immediate 5-minute reward, like a few levels of a mobile game or a piece of chocolate, artificially creates the chemical signal your brain is missing. And finally, the strategy of next action specificity is rooted in implementation intention, a concept validated by psychological research. A study by Galvitzer in the American Psychological Association showed that defining a specific when, where, and how for a goal dramatically increases the likelihood of follow-through. For a neurodivergent brain, put clothes in hamper is a concrete implementation intention that bypasses the paralyzing ambiguity of clean room. Now, let's talk about regulating the senses and creating a sensory-safe environment. If you are easily overstimulated, noise-cancelling headphones or specialized earplugs are not a luxury. They are an essential tool for survival in loud environments. They turn the volume of the world down to a manageable level. For that feeling of restlessness or anxiety, proprioceptive input can be a game changer. This is input that provides deep pressure for your joints and muscles, which has a calming effect on the nervous system. This is the science behind weighted blankets, weighted lap pads, or even just giving yourself a tight hug. For some, jewelry, which is safe, discreet jewelry designed to be chewed on, can provide the oral motor input that is calming and helps with focus. May seem a little silly, but I promise it works. The goal is to become a detective of your own senses. Identify what triggers your overload. Is it bright fluorescent lights, crowd, certain textures? And then give yourself permission to accommodate your needs. Ask for a different desk at work or school, wear sunglasses indoors, choose clothing based on comfort over style. This is not being difficult, it's being intelligent about your own operating system. Finally, let's talk about navigating the social world. If socializing is a conscious process for you, scripting can help reduce the cognitive load. Preparing for common interactions like ordering coffee or making a phone call can lower anxiety. It is also vital to schedule social recovery time. Understand that socializing drains your battery in a way it might not for others. After a social event, schedule mandatory guilt-free downtime to recharge alone. This is pre-preventive maintenance for your mental health. And perhaps, most importantly, find your neuro tribe. Connect with other neurodivergent people, whether online or in person. In these spaces, you often don't have to mask. You can be your authentic self, and the communication style is often more direct and logical, which can be far less exhausting. The validation that comes from realizing you aren't alone is incredibly powerful. It is not enough to just talk about the challenges. We absolutely must, reframe the narrative and recognize the incredible strengths that come with a neurodivergent mind. That tendency for deep, intense focus on a topic of interest, that's hyperfocus. When aligned with a passion, it allows for incredible depth of knowledge, mastery, and innovation. Many groundbreaking scientists, artists, and programmers have this trait. The autistic brain's ability for pattern recognition and system thinking is often extraordinary. The ability to see details, inconsistencies, and connections that others miss is a massive superpower in the fields like data science, engineering, editing, and research. The ADHD brain is a powerhouse of creativity and divergent thinking. The very same neural wiring that jumps from thought to thought is excellent for making novel connections between seemingly unrelated ideas, leading to true originality and outside-the-box solutions. And the deep passion for justice, for truth, for authenticity that so many neurodivergent people process, that isn't a symptom, it's a gift. It is a driving force for positive change in the world. Neurodivergency is a natural and valuable form of human variation. The goal is not to cure a neurodivergent person, but to help them understand their own operating system, to build a toolkit that works for them, and to create a world that has space for and celebrates many different kinds of minds. So, let's bring it all home. Having a neurodivergent mind means you have a different, not defective, operating system. But understanding the science of your brain's wiring, from the understaffed CEO in your prefrontal cortex to the volume knob sensory system, you can finally stop fighting against your own nature. You can let go of the shame and start using strategies that work with your brain, your brilliant, beautiful, and unique brain. Now that we've explored the incredible variability of the human brain, let's talk about a universal human experience that ties us all together, regardless of our wiring: our relationship with fear. Next week, we're tackling one of the biggest dream killers out there. We're deconstructing the fear of failure. Until then, never stop learning. I'm Olivia Vasilev, and this is the Student of Life podcast.